Holy smokes, Daredevil is back, and we are here reviewing episodes 1 and 2. This is a new thing that we're trying. We're here reviewing all the new episodes of season 4, season 1. I don't know what we're officially calling this, so we're just going to say the new season of Daredevil. I am Brody. That's Tudong Dylan.
Hey.
And that's Charlie Hickman.
Hello.
We're Talk Punch, bringing you fun, entertaining content. So let's get right into this because I'm excited to talk about this because I love Daredevil and this was great. Spoilers. I thought this was great. So we're gonna break this stuff down. We're gonna talk about it as we go through. Charlie, take it away.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting into this because I've been wanting to talk to you about this, guys, since I watched this. There was a lot of self-restraint to not even bring this up yet. All right, so look, I'm going to take us through a little bit of the outline of the episodes, and we'll just kind of fill in some commentary as we go.
Yes.
The new season begins, and we kind of get this like Sex in the City vibe. We got the gang back together. We got Foggy. We got Karen. We got old Matt Murdock. They're hanging out. They're sipping cocktails at the bar.
I was so happy to see them all. I was so happy.
Well, as that's unfolding, how are you guys feeling seeing like kind of like the gang back together and the show back?
Foggy. I have to say, a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's whiny. He's this." I liked Foggy. I thought he was great. Karen. I mean, as a character, I never really cared for her, and I don't understand how all of the freaking like superheroes are just like, "I just met her, and now I love her." I'm like, "Are you really?" But hey, I love seeing Foggy back. That was great.
I love seeing them all. I love seeing the gang back together. I mean, I loved the Netflix stuff. And then when all the Netflix stuff went away, I thought I was never going to see these folks again. And so I was super stoked to see them back together and they were all having fun and being friends.
Yeah, it's been like a decade. It's crazy.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I didn't always like the way that Foggy and Karen were written. Like there was some like, in the Netflix show, there was certainly some, like, I don't know, we've talked about this before privately, but like if I ever found out that one of you guys was secretly like a superhero, like working your butt off to save the city, I'd just be pretty stoked. I wouldn't be like, how could you? I don't know. But anyway, it's just, it's a bad writing. The actors are, and they're fine. And it was nice seeing them ever so briefly, because we get right into this tremendous action sequence to start off the show. We get Bullseye coming in. We get Foggy getting shot like right away. Like, hey, we're not. So if you're unfamiliar, like they were not going to bring the old cast back. This was going to be a soft reboot.
Yep.
And they started filming, and then the writer's strike happened, and they decided it wasn't really working, and so then they brought it back. So let's imagine getting the call like, hey, we're not going to use you in the new Daredevil reboot, and then getting the call. It goes, actually, we would love to have you come in, but we are going to kill you almost immediately. Like, all right, well,
poor Foggy.
While it lasted. Was that surprising to you guys?
Yeah, I still don't think he's dead. I think he's going to come back. And I'd also, this is obviously a spoilery thing, right?
No.
We can say spoilers.
Yeah, this is a spoiler. I'll write spoilers.
I read that the actor playing Foggy is going to film scenes in season 2, so I'm hoping at the very end he comes back. Karen being over in San Francisco, a nice almost continent away. Good. Great.
What?
Go fall in love with some other superhero.
Do you not like Karen Page?
The character that was written? No. She got killed. Killed. She got killed.
Oh.
She judges every single superhero and is like, you're terrible. I don't understand. Like,
I like her. I like Karen Page. And I don't think Foggy is coming back. I think he's dead. I think I
said I hope. That's all I said. I said I hope.
You hope that he's dead?
No, I hope he's coming back.
Oh.
You hate poor old Eldon Henson.
If he's coming back, it's going to be in like a flashback. I think he's dead. I think he's dead.
So this whole pilot was all new, right? This was not from the old footage at all. There's obviously a long one shot that we get here.
So good. Going up the stairs.
Yeah. So look, I've seen some people having some mixed feelings about it. Watching it in real time, I thought it was pretty epic. I'd love to unpack this a little bit with you guys though. So What did you like? What worked in the fights, the opening fight sequence? What didn't work? What do you know? How did it make you guys feel watching that?
Bro,
I
go
just
ahead.
I just want to start out by saying I love Bullseye. I've always
Mm.
liked Bullseye. I don't know why I like him. I shouldn't like him, right? But he is such a good bad guy because he's such a
Mm.
bad guy. Like this is like a guy that just kills for fun. He does not care. It's a sport to him and he's really good at it. And so having Bullseye show up again, and he's got kind of the costume. We got the bullseye on like
Yeah.
the hand.
Very dark, subtle, but it was there.
I was like, I'll take. I was hoping there was going to be a little bullseye on his forehead or something like that. We didn't get that, but like
The Colin Farrell.
overall, I thought it was cool, and I loved the fight between them. The way that Bullseye was throwing things, and just he would throw a ball and it would hit somebody in the head. He'd throw it against a wall and bounce off, hit somebody in the head. He was throwing so many knives into Daredevil.
Daredevil had all of these knives all over him. I was like,
He looked like a
"Oh."
pincushion. Like he had so many knives, and it was great.
They
And
were struggling when they were going down the hallway, and they were just like going up the steps. You can see them struggle.
they were so tired.
"Yes."
They were so tired.
They were tired. They were like, "I'm almost dead." I love that Foggy gets shot once. Bullseye, he gets tossed down a building, and he's still fine. He's okay. Don't worry about.
He's got a
I'm like-
reinforced spine. It's okay. Because if you
reinforced.
if you remember at the end of season 3,
Oh yeah.
he was shown on the operating table. In the comics, he has an adamantium spine. Whether they
Oh really?
I think they called it something else in season 3. Whether now that adamantium's back in the MCU, we'll see how that goes. But he does have like a metal spine, and so
He doesn't have a metal skull though. How did his skull not crack open like an egg? Foggy, the one
I don't
shot,
know.
he's dead.
I don't know.
Foggy's soft. Foggy's he's not
He is.
he's not
He is.
built the same way. He's built different, but like in a more like that's that's my contribution to the MCU. If I were a real person, take a bullet and slowly bleed out on the ground because I didn't have the common sense to get back inside.
He died so slowly. Gosh, it looked horrible.
He died so slowly,
He did, yeah.
just agonizingly slow.
I was
Bullseye, on the
shocked.
other hand, didn't die at all. He started breathing again. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was shocked when Daredevil threw him off the building, though. I think I audibly gasped. I was like, I mean,
I was like, what took him so long? I was like, yeah, come on, there you go.
he's still a superhero. He's not Frank Castle, like but to just like in front of everybody, Daredevil is throwing a guy off a building.
To be fair, he just kind of let him fall. It's almost like he was holding him up and he was just kind of like, eh. It's not like he lifted him up into the air, Bane style with Batman, and launched him instead of breaking his.
Pretty sure there was a
Again.
push there. Pretty sure there was a push.
It's more like in Batman Begins when Liam Neeson's on his way out and Christian Bale's like, I'm not going to kill you,
I don't have
but
to
I'm
save
certainly
you."
not going to save you. I'm just going to watch you fall, buddy.
Yeah, see, Matt doesn't go along with that. Matt is like, nope, that doesn't work for me. If I did that, if I let him die, I killed him.
Besides, Daredevil had the precision. He knew he wasn't going to die. He said, I've got the trajectory. I know he's going to land and be mostly dead, but not dead.
There you go.
Even though he does say, I crossed the line. You tried to kill somebody.
Yeah. Across the line. That's right.
Real quick though, I do want to take a tiny step back. His suit, we get a good look at the new Daredevil suit. Kind of an update from where we saw in season 3, a definite update from when we saw him in She-Hulk. We get the red. It's a brighter red. We still don't have the D's on the chest, but it's a brighter red than we've seen. And I thought it looked awesome. I thought it looked really cool. and I am so glad. I loved the way that he was using those billy clubs because oh my goodness, he's throwing the clubs. They're breaking apart. He's swinging around with them. I loved that. I was so stoked to see it. And then it was there and then it was gone. And I was like, I got like 3 minutes of this and that's it.
Yeah.
I think though, when you see him land on the roof behind Bullseye, I was just like, is that? I was like, what? I know it's Daredevil, but for a second, I was like, that is like that's like almost Spider-Man like.
Yeah.
I really hope. I don't think Spider-Man's going to be in it, but they were saying
No
that the
way.
next
No way.
Spider-Man would be Spider-Man and Daredevil. Like people, like Marvel was like, "Come on, let's do Spider-Man and Daredevil," and like Sony was saying, "Oh, well, Spider-Man and somebody else or something else or whatever it is." And I'm like, "Give us what we want, Sony
Give
and
the people
Marvel.
what they
Give
want.
us next Spider-Man should be Spider-Man and Daredevil.
Yeah.
It worked with Wolverine and Deadpool. Give us, Daredevil,
Right after
Spider-Man."
Madam Web 2, then we can get around to that. It'll be
Yes.
Sony's got different priorities.
Mm,
Like I thought the lighting was really good too. I thought like they did a really nice
mhm,
job like using colors and the absence of colors in places to kind of just highlight different tones in these opening scenes. I thought that was really well done. I really like that. I just want to shout out like the pressure that was on those extras. The
oh
poor girl that got hit in the head with the
Oh,
cue ball.
right.
Like like you're gonna get fired if you mess up a long take.
yeah.
This is a 7-minute scene. You're coming in at like 5 minutes and 53 seconds after they've been beating each other in the other room, and you have to just pretend to get hit in the head with a cue ball and fall down here, young lady. And if she just goes like and just kind of goes the wrong way, like I mean, a lot of respect for those extras. They
Mm,
sold it. They did a good job there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would
excellent.
not want to be the person who ruined the long take.
Oh man. No
Back to
way.
one.
Mm,
Um, so at the end of the big fight scene, of course, we get Daredevil throws his mask down. I think in a not so veiled symbolic gesture of like, hey, I'm quitting this business.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of Matt Murdock, there, of course, the retired police officer Cherry, spots him on the roof there, and we see Bullseye start to twitch, so he's not so dead. And then we're gonna kind of smash cut to a year later.
1
If you
year later.
So either Foggy's really dead or he's, in some kind of witness relocation protection. But he certainly had a funeral program for him
He sure
with
did. In
some
Braille
with some
even.
braille there. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And Matt Murdock was
And we,
still holding on to it 1 year later. He's
yeah,
like
yeah.
carrying it around with him. I'm like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, man. That's really depressing.
That's
we get
really sad.
right away we get a little visit from old Freddy foreshadowing as he's milling around the house and the TV's like, and the mayor recall race is underway, and it's like the old school turning on the TV or the news program. And a serial killer has just been released from Arkham Asylum. Oh, uh, so we get a little Freddy foreshadow there. So and then you see him kind of like, look, one of the themes I kind of noticed it with the suits. Like, okay, Matt's like looking through suits. Then we cut to Kingpin. He's like looking
Yeah.
through his suits. But this whole episode and the next episode, we're really getting this juxtaposition of these two men. From their wardrobe down to
Sure.
like the ways that they're trying to quote unquote save the city, down to the ways that their scenes are lit, down to the ways that they're trying to deny who they truly are inside. And so we kind of get this kind of like compelling juxtaposition of these two characters. But it kind of starts with like this opening scene in Matt's apartment where he's getting dressed and he's rolling through his suits, and then we cut to the Kingpin and he's rolling through his suits. Excuse me, Fisk, no longer the Kingpin. But alive and well. When last we saw him, he was not in such good shape. And they do kind of explain that
I
away a little
love
bit
it.
later.
I love it. Do they really? Because I know I was like, I thought they were gonna say more, and I was like,
There was a
What?
couple little
Kingpin?
throwaways. We'll talk about them when we get there. But did you guys have any like So we have the Vanessa running the business, and any kind of and in their conversation, that's where we kind of get like the you were in bad shape, you were, and he's like, I had to go away to get
yeah,
better.
Well,
So we kind of get that first reference.
he had to go to the Echo series to get better. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that's what
Well,
happened. And she
to
healed
get
his
better.
eyes after
She healed his
shooting him in
eyes.
the eye.
Later on,
Healed?
there's that
She
line of
did?
like,
Yeah.
last time you had a mentor, didn't he's like, she shot me in the face or something like that. Like
No, no, no. He's like, didn't she's like, you had a mentor or you mentored somebody? Didn't she shoot you in the face? And he's like, I was like, and he's laughing too. Hey,
what are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do?
Well, he echoed those sentiments. So how did you guys like the Vanessa Kingpin dynamic that kind of gets started here in episode 1 and built on in episode 2? How are you guys feeling about that?
Good. I like it. I think it's interesting. They're working on it. They're working on their stuff. she's like the kingpin, and he's like, I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad they brought the actress back. I like her.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
originally recasted, and you're like, yeah, and then they I guess because they were redoing it, and then the fan backlash was like, why not bring it back the original Vanessa? And then they did. I think that was a great choice.
Yeah, for sure. And then so from there, we kind of go to the sentencing for Bullseye. Surprise, and he's a little remorseless. He gets the
Bullseye.
consecutive life sentences. I do think we will see him again. I don't think that's the last we'll be seeing of Bullseye this season.
I hope not.
I'm going out on a limb. I'm making a bold prediction. Dylan's was that Foggy is still alive. Mine is that we will see Bullseye.
Come on.
And I don't know. I think I blocked out in my mind that his last name was Poindexter, but that is such a.
I don't know why they chose
What are you
that.
talking about?
His name in the comics is just Lester. Like they don't even know his name. He's kind of been. I think Poindexter was just something
Lester
for the
Diamond.
show.
I'm like, and they kept hammering that Poindexter.
What a weird
Poindexter,
name to
really.
choose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I meant to ask
Dex
you guys.
isn't bad.
I'm gonna do an epic jump backwards.
Yeah.
I meant to ask this earlier. Did it remove the emotional weight of Foggy being killed? Like we haven't seen the show in 10 years. We see him for like 2 minutes and then he like dies right away. Like did that make you sad at all?
Oh yeah.
That-
Oh totally.
It did? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm just I'm a cold, feelingless human being is what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yep,
Apparently.
basically. Or you
Apparently,
believe like me, he's not dead.
If they'd like a whole episode had passed and then he had gotten shot, there was like just no buildup. It was like he was dead. He was
We had
there
3
to die.
seasons. We had 3 seasons of buildup.
We had 10
and he
years,
was
and then they
he was
had 5
independent.
years in the show. He's just, I don't know. I didn't feel the weight of it because it happened so fast. All right. Apparently, that's just a me thing. All right.
Yeah, I
Onwards and
was sad
upwards.
about it because I liked him in the original. I was excited to see him again because I hadn't seen him so long. And then that excitement was immediately crushed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I was saying to myself, if they kill off Foggy and just keep Karen there, but luckily they shipped her off to San Francisco, so I was okay with it.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
you
so
hate
she's
Karen.
working with Adrian Monk in San Francisco.
Good. There.
But she has this kind of confrontation in the hallway to kind of wrap up her storyline. I'm guessing maybe we'll
She'll
see
be
her
back.
again. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
100% she'll be back. 100%. Yeah. I like Karen Page. I like her.
Do you think they'll do the drug addict storyline from the comics?
Well, and
There already was one.
yeah, I mentioned this
She
to my
started
wife.
off as a-
Yeah, I mentioned this to my wife. I was like, "Oh, I'm worried about Karen. She's going to San Francisco." In the comics, she went off to San Francisco and became a drug addict. And then my wife was like, "But she was already a drug addict." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's right. That's right." So she's already done it. And
Yeah, but that was like a hey, I used to do this, but it wasn't like
Yeah. That's true.
it wasn't like she was in the dregs of it in the show. Like certainly, like if she, but that would be it would be a weird. I hope they don't do it because it would just be like, I'm already like, hey, can we just get back to Daredevil enough
Yeah.
as it
Sure.
is?
There
And,
we
like
go.
Perfect.
so they argue she's weird about I don't understand why she's mad, but she's mad about stuff. I don't know why they write characters to be mad about stuff that doesn't make sense. It just makes you not like the character.
Matt didn't talk
Just
to her
kind of-
for weeks. He ignored her for weeks.
And
Yeah,
then
he
he ignored
could
him for
have.
months. His best friend just died. I don't understand.
She was friends
the
with him too.
headspace. I know. And if Dylan died and I called you, Brody, and you didn't call me back for a couple of weeks, and then you called me a bunch, I'd be like, hey, oh, I'm so glad to hear from you. Can we now mourn Dylan together now that you're ready? Like, I'm sorry that you weren't ready to mourn the exact moment that our friend died, but now that you're ready, I've been ready. Let's do this together. I mean, sorry, Dylan, that I killed you off in this scenario, but I'm just saying, like, have a little empathy. Like he wasn't ready then; he's ready now. Like that's friendship. Like you can't force someone to be ready to deal with their grief. Let them
And maybe
breathe.
she's not ready now.
But she was ready
She
then.
should go to San Francisco. Just stay there.
Anyway, it's fine.
Let's move on.
Doesn't
Let's
matter.
move on.
Doesn't matter. So we get some Kingpin campaign stuff. We get to the introduction of like the Murdock and McDuffie law firm. We get Daredevil set up on a.
That's the one who was talking to Foggy before he got killed. I thought that was interesting. I liked it. I thought that was cool.
She seems nice. Like we haven't obviously we have not gotten a lot of character out of her yet, but The actress seems good, seems
Yeah.
solid. I don't know what kind of role she's gonna play, but be fun. How did you guys feel about her setting Matt Murdock up on a blind date?
Oh,
Typical. Matt Murdock's got to have his women. He likes his women every time.
he's
Like,
a ladies man.
he's a ladies' man. I think it's great. And I had it on. I had the last little bit on, and my wife was just kind of, who's also blind. She was just like, "Ah, there he is, the slutty blind guy." And I was like, "Oh yeah,
I
perfect."
I don't know about you guys, but as I'm watching that, do you ever have that feeling where like something is so awkward that you're like, oh, you're like you get like a tense in your chest because it's so, like when Matt was talking about like, oh, this was such a waste of my time, and it, and he's just like digging himself a hole and just digging deeper, and I was like, oh, Matt, please stop.
I actually liked where he's like, "Oh, yeah, we can't tell her. We can't tell her she did something good." When he started doing that, I was like, "Oh, good job, Matt. Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent." And at the same time, I was like, "If she doesn't like what you're saying, it's her loss."
Sure.
Do you like that pairing? Do you feel like there's some chemistry there? Do we like the Doctor character? How are we feeling about that so far?
I'll say this: I really liked it when it was the last shot of the second episode. I was just like, "Oh, yeah! Oh,
Yeah,
there's gonna be some drama right there."
it's some drama.
We'll
Yeah,
get there. We'll get there.
I was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
"Hey, you know what?" I was like, Murdoch is gonna be happy with almost any woman he lands with, and I was like, and she's gonna be very happy, I'm sure.
Yeah, and she's from the comics, and so she was a love interest from
Really?
the comics. Yeah,
Oh, they're all love interests for him. Come on,
I know.
Let Murdoch. He should be the leader of the Avengers. People are like, "Hey, who should be the leader?" Should be, like Doctor Strange, Spider Man. I say Daredevil. Daredevil should lead the Avengers.
I like
He's
it.
supposed to be he's supposed to be in the actual like Marvel comics. He's supposed to be, him and like Black Panther are supposed to be like the best martial artists in the entire world. Like they're the tip top. He's- I mean, I'm sure you guys both.
Well, as he's no like Danny McBride or from the
True.
Iron
Oh,
Fist,
the
jeez, no,
Iron
no,
Fist show.
no.
not
That
Danny
was terrible.
McBride. No, that wasn't his
Danny
name.
Masterson, whichever Danny he
I
was.
love that scene. I love
I'm
that scene. My
Danny.
favorite scene of the Defenders, when he just beats the snot out of him. Yeah, you're the immortal Iron Fist, and I'm Daredevil. I just beat you down, kid. I love this.
Such bad casting. Anyway, so we get the
Danny
BB report
Rand.
kind of laced
Danny Rand.
throughout this episode, and it seems like they're kind of like, hey, you know what, we should add a plucky reporter like that Ben guy that we killed off all those
Killed off.
Back in
Aaron
season
killed him
one.
off.
Season
Yeah.
one, he got killed off.
So she's not
She's
from the
just like,
comics, right? She's just
Not that
a
I'm aware
creation
of.
of the show.
Yeah, not that I'm aware.
Do you guys like this kind of like mix in of like office style documentary posts to kind of help move narrative along?
I got a question about that. Was the audio on those clips very low for you guys?
I don't remember
I
it
just think
being low.
I didn't
For-
quite. I mean, like sometimes they were like, "Yeah, Daredevil's great," and then they're like, "Oh, Daredevil's no good," and I'm like, I don't care what these people are saying. If they're not saying Daredevil's great, then I'm like, just what are
Oh,
you talking to these people for?
For us, it felt like those clips and those little interviews, like the audio was way lower than the rest of the show. It was very interesting. Maybe it's just my speaker setup, but yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm glad we have subtitles on because I would not have any idea what they were saying.
Yeah,
But it was funny. They were funny little clips.
I thought it was really good. I mean, I don't have notes or the if I'm passing anything or anything like that. But the end of the first episode, when he's looking up, I don't know if he was able to look up at Fisk, but that was an epic way of him becoming mayor. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, we see that kind of like, again, that juxtaposition of those two
Mhm.
characters,
Mhm.
and they're different, like diverging. Daredevil's falling in love, and Kingpin and his wife are on the outs. Like it's just
Yeah.
again continuing to kind of like these two sides of the same coin. Before we talk, a little bit more about the ending, we did skip the diner scene, which I thought was fantastic. And so where
Oh,
Daredevil
yeah,
and Kingpin are sitting at the diner.
yeah.
the chemistry
Yes.
between those two actors is just phenomenal. And it's just like, you're sometimes, like you're watching a show or a movie and you just see like two actors and they're just acting the crap out of a scene and it's like, like yes, like the yes. And this was like just I thought just an incredibly well filmed and well acted scene. What are you guys' thoughts on the diner scene?
Easily one of the highlights of the entire first episode. Easily one of the best scenes. It's a fantastic scene. These guys, like you just said, they're acting the hell out of
Hmm.
Yeah, it was great. It was tense, they're kind of going back and
it.
forth, and it's crazy because they know like who each other are. Like Fisk knows that Matt is Daredevil. Daredevil knows that Fisk is Kingpin. Like, and they're just kind of going, but they had like these little quips too. Like Daredevil is like,
Yeah.
your steps are lighter, you've lost weight and put on muscle. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like
like
they
the
they know, they
sodium.
know,
All right, all right, all right.
But yeah, it was great. It was great.
I like that a
So
lot. I thought it was cool that they seemed so almost nice. It's like this is an entirely
Yeah.
unpleasant. I was like, they're enjoying this. This is good. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charlie.
no, no, I think I think it's well said, and you can see the kind of like the disdain slash respect
Sure.
on
Yeah, yeah.
display. It's gonna be fun to see
Mhm.
the evolution of these relationships, and as the show goes on. Dylan mentioned about the ending of the episode where Matt's kind of wrapping up his date as Fisk wins. We kind of see that play out.
Mhm.
Or did you have any last thoughts on episode one? This is kind of like where the show's wrapping up, at least the first episode.
Who do you think Adam is? You think he's just like a random rando, or
Oh,
that Vanessa is having maybe an affair with?
oh,
She says
Yeah, I think
she's
I think he's probably just a rando. I mean, like you saw Fisk's knuckles in the next episode. I'm not sure we're ever
mm,
going to see Adam. I don't know if they didn't go into that. But they're like, "Oh, let me fix your eye," and then he had the knuckles. I don't know if
yeah.
there was some he was giving Adam the business,
I was
but
trying to think like, are there any famous Adams in Marvel that that could be? So I don't
mm.
know. I saw some people joking that maybe it's Adam Warlock, but I don't.
as of now, because I did look it up on the cast list just to see if I
If
had
there's an
missed
Adam,
Adam in like the first episode, and there's no one named Adam in the show yet, but
mm,
the IMDb credits for the show are a little wonky. So
so
like there's
wacky.
it's
Yeah.
so I think they're keeping a lot of it under wraps. So who knows? And um, it could just be something that comes out later. All right,
But
well that kind of wraps up episode
I thought
one.
that episode was phenomenal. I thought it was so
Yeah,
good.
you want to give it a score?
Do we want to do scores right now, or do we want to do both scores at the end?
We can do both scores at the end. That's fine.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Make
All
people
right. Well,
stick
if no one
around.
has anything to add, then we'll jump into episode two. If you forgot something that you wanted to talk about in episode one, just launch it in. But so episode one starts with the heartbreaking loss of Foggy. Episode two starts with a far more real heartbreaking loss. The
So
actor
sad.
Kamar de los Reyes. If you saw the little dedication at the beginning, he is the actor who plays White Tiger. Uh, and he
Hector
passed away from
Ayala.
Hector Ayala. He passed away from cancer at the end of 2023, in December 2023. And so you
Yeah.
can see how old some of the footage that's being used
Yeah.
in the show
Yeah.
is.
Right.
So they'd filmed less than half the season, but that's a lot of episodes. So there was a lot of
Yeah.
footage, and I think this episode certainly felt different in tone. We'll talk a little bit about that as it unfolds. Obviously, we don't get any Daredevil in the suit in this episode.
None.
Just
No Daredevil.
and I believe the first version of the show is going to be a little bit more like lawyer
Right.
focused.
Okay.
And certainly like you felt a heavy lawyer focus in this episode. So hopefully we kind of snap out of that a little bit quick because call me crazy, but I like me some Daredevil in my Daredevil shows. I know it's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
gotta say, yeah,
okay,
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna start the start. Do you want to?
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, no.
All right.
Go for it.
So we begin in the subway. We've got a couple of guys roughing up a third party here. We see the entrance of this muscular gentleman who's like, hey, I'm not having any of this. You get your damn hands off of her. Gives him the old Marty McFly, and and in doing so, in the ensuing kerfuffle, a gentleman is launched into a subway train and eviscerated And then we have the reveal that, of course, the other guy is a cop and that the person who was launched and there was a dead cop. How'd you guys feel about the action sequence to start this episode?
Made me feel really bad for the person that was driving that train.
Oh wow,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Hey,
you know, you're just driving along, all of a sudden, you know, your whole windshield is just red,
he's like, was
you
that
know,
a person?
red and guts, and it's just horrible,
He's like,
horrible.
that's a face. That's a face.
But it
It's a
was,
human
yeah,
being.
it was quick. It was quick. It was just chaotic, right? Like I was like, oh, who is who? Because we don't know any of these guys, and so you know they're fighting, and it's like I don't know what's happening, and then all of a sudden a guy is just explodes at a train. So
And I wonder if we're gonna. I want to go back and rewatch this,
Mm.
but because he's saying in like the scene with Matt later on, like, hey, I don't know what happened. I didn't push him. Like, and the guy was like behind him. So I don't know if there's like some other thing at work here, like in like some kind of like setupy kind of plot, or if it was just more like, hey, we were fighting, and I didn't mean for it to happen. If that was more
Mm.
like, yeah. So I'm kind of curious if it's going to be like a little bit deeper of a conspiracy, or if
sure,
it's just going to be like Daredevil, you're like wrong place, wrong time, and now Daredevil is kind of mixed in. Um, so I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out, and I'm
Yeah,
oh, man, it makes me sad, man. He was good. He was good in the role.
yeah,
And
real good.
F cancer, but so
Mm.
after that we get Kingpin in the office. He's doing his duties. He's the mayor now, and he's not your regular politician. He's got his own way of doing things. We get James Gandolfini's son,
who looks just
Mike
like his dad.
looks a lot like his dad.
More hair, but looks just like his dad. Yeah,
More hair.
Michael Gandolfini.
He looked like his dad from True Romance. You remember him when he was in True
Oh
Romance?
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, he looked
Hmm.
exactly like him. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting character to see unfold. I'm and kind of it's always whether it's sports or movies or music, as these nepo babies start to enter the picture, it really does make you feel old. I think I added like 7 gray hairs to my beard seeing young James Gandolfini take the screen there with and under the moniker of Michael. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting character, and like the dynamic, like the mysterious British guy, and then like the down to business career politician lady, and then
Yeah, yeah.
the kind of like
Yeah.
I'm here and I'm an energetic young guy, and so it's kind of interesting. Like he's got a interesting team assembled here.
Yeah.
Well, which I'm sure we'll find out a little bit more about everybody as we go. Um, we jump from here to like the scene at the police precinct where Ayala's getting worked over by the cops, and Murdock hears this and goes in there to represent him. Um, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between these two. Like, we see Kingpin fill a hole.
Yeah.
Gets out. I'm your permit. And he gets to, like,
Yeah.
Consider it
fill a hole.
approved.
Be consider it approved. I can't do Kingpin. Every time I try to do a Kingpin, I end up doing the Men in Black. I'm just a bug guy.
I know we got to work on our
It's
kingpins.
just better.
Yeah, Dylan's got a good Kingpin.
Consider it approved. it's-
You're just doing Dr. Claw from Inspector
Doc,
Gadget
my
over there.
Dr. Claw's way better.
Hey, we'll watch the film. We'll get better.
Yeah.
Any of these scenes like jump out at you guys, or you want to kind of like move on to BB's entrance and introduction?
The only thing that I wanted to point out was I was very excited to hear a Spider-Man reference when Kingpin was complaining about all the vigilantes, and he was like, a guy with a skull painted on his chest, and then a man swinging around like a spider.
Like a spider.
I was like,
Yes.
Spider-Man reference.
I know that guy. I understood that reference. Yeah,
I get that reference.
None of us know who he is anymore.
No.
Murdock. Who? What?
Oh.
Parker? No.
Parker.
No, it couldn't be Parker.
Where's J. Jonah?
But yeah,
So
it
we
was
find-
interesting,
go ahead.
like knowing that, because I believe that it was episode 2 was they kept a lot of the original footage. And like so much so that it's listed as the directors or the original directors before they kind of redid everything. And so
You
like
gotta have at
not
least 51% of like the shots directed by the person to get the credit.
is that
So
it?
it has to be at least more than half. Yeah, it has to be at least more than half.
So like we don't get hardly any Vanessa. We kind of ended the last
Mhm.
episode with Kingpin and Vanessa, and then she's just kind of gone. And they're even like mentioned that where they're like,
Where'd she go? She should
people
be
like to
here.
see you.
Yeah.
The traditional
Where's
voters
your
want to see you with your wife, and he's got pictures of her, but she's just like not around.
That
She's
will
running the
be
business.
difficult. Yeah, he's running the business.
she's running the business. Um, yeah, so like we get the the knowledge now that BB is Benerick's niece, and we talked a little bit about her. We'll see kind of like how that character unfolds, what kind of role she ends up playing in the narrative. If she's kind of going to be out for revenge for her uncle, or if she's going to be working on her own career. And we'll get some hints dropped here or there, but we'll kind of see how that plays. You guys have a beat on that character yet, or kind of just waiting to see how it fleshes out a little bit?
BB?
Waiting to see. Waiting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what her role is going to be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying not to overly judge. I don't particularly care for like the cutaways with like the little man on the street
Mm.
interviews. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
as like a
I
narrative
don't either.
device. I'm,
I don't
I'm
either.
not as excited for that. But I'm ready to be open minded. Certainly don't need to be closing any
Uh,
doors on any of these characters here.
I don't think I don't know if we mentioned. If we mentioned it, we mentioned it very briefly that the woman that Matt Murdock is dating is a psychiatrist, therapist.
Therapist. Yeah, therapist.
Therapist.
That really
Uh,
comes into play. I love how that came. I didn't expect that at all. I was just like, wait, are we, okay, now I don't know how many scenes until we get towards that last
yeah,
chunk.
we got some more scenes here, but but you bring her up at an apt time because the next scene we get is her book signing, where she is
Yes.
approached by the mysterious British man, and so we know something is
Yeah.
afoot. We just don't quite know what is afoot
Hmm.
yet.
Sure.
Yet. Um,
Yeah.
yet.
That's
So
right. That's
we get
right.
the book signing there, and then we get we kind of jump here to the funeral, and we get tough guy
Mm.
commissioner. He's like,
Yeah.
I see
Oh
right through you.
yeah, that's right.
I'm a man who has no fear except for maybe the whatever happens in the next scene when you show me a picture, and I'm like, I'm not as tough as I thought I was. Who knew? Who knew? Like yelling and screaming at like a vicious, ruthless mob boss type criminal kingpin could have consequences. He's out there reaping, but he certainly didn't like the sowing. He's like, chest puffed out, but a little less of a tough guy as it turns out. Please don't tell anyone about my illegitimate son. I guess it was. I don't know.
I don't even
Who
know.
was also was perhaps a cheesesteak. I don't know. It was a weird I don't
I
know.
thought did they say that it was like a illegitimate son? I thought it was just a picture of like his wife and kid.
So when he first flashed the photo, I thought the implication was, "Hey, I know where your family is, and I can
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
him." But then
Mhm.
after the guy leaves the room, he's like, "He thought nobody knew about the kid, but
Oh,
I
okay.
found him." Like, and then he's like, "But that was a terrible
That
sandwich. That
sandwich was
a
disgusting.
terrible sandwich. I only like to eat roach food." So he wasn't. So I think that was the implication. Although it wasn't really clear, that could have been maybe made clearer. But I guess maybe
Sure,
they're just leaving
sure.
it to our imagination.
Hopefully, it'll
Uh,
still be. They'll make it more clear, maybe, or they'll just forget it.
or not. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's just
So
dropped.
or it's just dropped. I don't know. We see the knuckles. We talked a little bit about that. We get to meet Ayala's wife, and we find out that he's the White Tiger. He's got the amulet and his suit. We get to see flirty Matt out on a date. I like flirty Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody blind guy, as your wife calls him. I like seeing him happy and
Affection.
being
Affection.
friendly.
Yeah, it's nice.
And then he gets the phone call, and that all wraps up pretty quick. Um, he finds out that the white tiger part, and then he goes straight to confront Ayala. He's like, "How could you not tell me? Blah, blah, blah. I can
love when he
only
says,
know what I don't know."
Say it.
No, you say it. You give me the line. You do a great Matt Murdock.
No, well, I won't. He says, if I'm gonna win this case, I have to find out all the ways I can lose it. And I was like, wow, I'm not a lawyer, but case
That
dismissed.
that sounded just like
I'm
him.
not judges there.
That impression was off the charts right there. That was beautiful.
Spot on.
Perfect
Spot
match.
on.
Anybody says that to me, and I'd just be like, wow, this guy's a lawyer.
He can turn a phrase, that Murdock. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you get to
That-
see
and that-
more acting chops on display. I love flirty Matt, but I also like
Serious
angry, fired up, serious Matt.
Sure.
You know,
Mhm.
maybe I just like Matt. I like little Matthew.
Yeah.
Um,
And then, come on, keep going, man. It gets,
all right. So like we kind of talked about this already, so we can skip over it. But then we get the commissioner resigning, and then being like, "All right, I'll stay on." You talk me into it by showing me a picture of my family.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get the the scene in the judge's office. The judge who was not so nice at bail setting the bail. It's like, all right, well, we won't allow you to bring up
What
the
a jerk.
tiger.
He's such
he
a
was not
jerk judge, man.
jerk judge. I think that's actually his name.
Judge Jerk.
Was jerk judge.
Judge Jerk.
Judge Jerky. So we kind of see a little bit more lawyer Matt stuff. We get more BB report, and then we get a scene on the waterfront with Cherry, who was great in The Wire, by the way. You guys haven't watched The Wire, you should watch The
I
Wire.
haven't.
But then we get, he's the really like kind of like the tense ending here is we see Matt following the dirty cop, and he's kind of like
Well, we got
trailing
the-
him on the streets.
We got the
Well, it's interspliced, so we see him trailing
Okay.
the cop on the street, and then we cut to the therapist who cancels the date on him, and we find out why she canceled the date. So let's talk about this ending, because there's like a bunch of things that happen here at the end. We finally get like some real good action at the end of this episode. Let's talk about the therapy stuff first. What do you guys think of that reveal?
I loved that. Oh, Matt's gonna be like, okay, so tell him what. Go ahead, keep going. I love this. I love this whole thing. The dynamic of it is excellent.
So we get some marriage counseling, and so she's hey, by the way, how great is it? Like a mob type guy going to therapy in a show with James Gandolfini's son in it. There's some beautiful symmetry in this. I love it. But they're talking about their marital problems, and
it's Kingpin and Vanessa. I don't know if
Kingpin and
if you
Vanessa.
mentioned that.
Matt is gonna be so upset. He's gonna find out. He's gonna be like, "How did you do this?"
And she can't tell him anything. She can't tell him anything.
And he's gonna want to know. He's gonna be like,
Yeah.
or he's gonna be like, "I respect it because I'm a lawyer."
Or he's gonna go into
Either
her
way.
office and like try to get her notes, and then she's gonna walk in and find them, and there's gonna be this drama. She's gonna be like, "You can't even read my notes."
He's like, "You're right. I don't even know why I looked at them. What am I doing here? Where am I?" So many times I tell my wife she could just say that, and I'd probably just be like, "Really?"
This is one of those scenes where as I'm watching the show, I concocted in my head this convoluted conspiracy that Kingpin had set in motion plans to lure out vigilantes. So they had the setup in the beginning because they knew who White Tiger was, and they were going to get him and then set him up for a murder. And then they were going to kill Matt's therapist to make sure that he came back out as Daredevil so that they could arrest him and incarcerate him. And the British guy approaches her, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So they're setting something up here. And then it was just like, oh, the simplest solution was the correct one. She's going to be a therapist, as her job is a therapist for this relationship. I see what you did there. You did the logical thing instead of the 7 layers deep conspiracy. But we do see a little bit of the devil come out as he rescues the witness from the first scene here in the subway and gets him to escape out the window when the dirty cops enter the room and are bludgeoning him and then put a gun to his head to kill him, and he has to kind of go all Daredevil on them.
This was wild.
Doesn't he kill him? He at least kills the second guy. He has to. The way
I mean, that second guy landed so hard on his neck. Like it was face, it was all face and neck.
Touching his back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, and that other guy, his hand is never going to be the same because he broke that hand horribly.
He broke that arm. He broke the entire arm horribly. I was just like,
oh man.
I don't know how. Okay, so like in a world where people have superpowers, this is just like the world that they're living in, right? and then you're assaulting this blind lawyer, and then he all of a sudden like eviscerates you. Are you then thinking, well, this is clearly Daredevil? Or are you just thinking like this is clearly a person who has enhanced abilities? Like it would seem like no one thinks Daredevil is blind, right? So like there's no
Sure.
part of this,
Mhm.
that's going to threaten his secret identity necessarily. Wouldn't you just assume it's like a Jessica Jones situation where like someone has like superhuman strength?
Well, but see, he doesn't have superhuman strength.
Well,
He
I
doesn't.
mean, he certainly pummeled these guys like he had superhuman strength.
That
I,
is very
if
true.
if he
Yeah.
was
Oh,
if he was
he
snapping my neck on the floor like that and crushing my hand to powder, I'd be like, that's pretty strong. I mean, but then again,
yeah.
I'm still probably lying on a floor bleeding out like Foggy somewhere. So, but I don't know where they're gonna go from here. Do you think that this is gonna like come back and like affect his secret
Now,
identity?
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but when they first hit Matt Murdock, 2 drops of his blood hit the floor. I saw that and I was like,
Hmm.
oh no. And now Murdoch is a cop killer.
Well,
What were you doing there, Murdoch?
the other important thing in this scene that we haven't mentioned yet is
Uh-huh.
the guy that throws him up against the wall has a
Yeah.
Punisher tattoo on his
Yeah.
wrist.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
That was
funny.
interesting also. I was
I
like,
looked at it first and I was like, what is that? I thought it was a Millennium Falcon for a second. And then my wife actually pointed out, she was like, no, it was a Punisher symbol. Like, what's
yeah.
wrong with you? And I was like, I don't
That
know.
guy had a cool Millennium Falcon tattoo. He's a big Star Wars man.
I was like, what is that? Maybe it was
Kind of
just
they zoom in on the Millennium Falcon.
maybe it was
I
just
love it.
late, but I was like, what is that? And my wife was like, what's wrong with you? But yeah,
Punisher tattoo.
he had a Punisher, like the Punisher skull tattoo with
Mhm,
with
mhm.
like an added backward American flag like on the forehead. So whether it's
Oh, really?
actual Punisher, whether it's like this shoot off group that's going to kind of take over the Punisher symbol and use it as their own, I don't know, but
You
there's
don't do that. Oh, Punisher's not gonna be happy about that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
wasn't there like a comic thread like where people were co-opting the Punisher symbol and using it?
I'm sure. I I don't know.
I'll look it up at some point.
I haven't read much Punisher.
So that they would. They did that with Captain America even.
Yeah,
Super
um,
Patriot. Yeah.
So we'll
I'll look
see
that up.
where that goes, but that's
Mhm,
I think that's clearly going to play into something because there's kind of a
Yeah.
police force that are Punisher guys.
Killing
Are
people. Yeah.
are they
killing
just
people.
are they going after vigilantes? Are they just going after anybody? We don't really know who this original guy that they were attacking was. Maybe they were setting
Right.
things up for White Tiger to come in to kind of ambush White Tiger. I don't know.
True. Very true. I don't know either.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at a comic right now where he tears like the symbol off of a patrol car and just beats down some police officers who are co-opting his logo and gives them a
Interesting.
speech of
Not.
like why they shouldn't be emulating him and
Mhm.
stuff. So, uh,
Interesting. Okay.
so this is probably going to be, I think, that little Freddy foreshadowing as well.
Sure.
We're going to get a little road in for the Punisher to come. I imagine the Punisher and Bullseye stories later on in the season will intersect. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see some
So excited.
Bernthal again getting to
He's
kind of
so
do that.
great.
He's
So
fantastic.
great. Mhm.
I mean, they've just done a really good job, specifically in this corner of that like Netflix carved out universe. The casting of like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Daredevil, I thought was just all fantastic. I mean, they really, really dropped it with Iron Fist, and just kind of ruined the whole thing. But that's okay. The Daredevil casting's been great,
Daredevil's
and
been great.
I
Mhm.
like the new actors that we're getting here so far. All seem good. At the very least, they're good actors. How the roles will be written and how those characters will shape,
Yeah.
we'll see. But this is 2 episodes now. So we kind of end in this really dramatic, climactic fight scene where he's kind of lashing back out. I mean, really, he was about to die. Can't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
take a bullet in your head.
Totally.
You got to fight back. Um, any other thoughts that you guys want? Any bows you want to tie in episode 1 and 2 before we drop our ratings?
I don't think so. Oh, just that was a brutal ending.
Brutal ending.
Yeah.
Brody, why don't we start with you? What are you giving episode 1, and then what are you giving episode 2? Or do you want to go all of our 1s, all of our 2s?
Uh, let's go all our ones and then we'll give our twos.
Sounds good.
I think for episode 1, I think I'm going to go with a 9, like a 9 out of 10.
I like
See
it.
that?
I think it was great. I think it was a great kind of return to this character and this area of the MCU that I am so stoked about. And I loved the stuff they were doing. I loved we got that tracking shot that the Daredevil's, series has just kind of become famous for. It set kind of everything in motion, and yeah, I'm stoked. Can't wait.
It's still. I gotta say, it was the best fight choreography on TV that I'd ever seen, and it still is. I'm exceedingly excited about it. I agree with your 9 out of 10.
I'm glad they went like with that gritty style and kind of brought that
Mm.
back in from the Netflix
Mhm.
show. Look, they're really doing something ambitious here. This is a hard because it was such a beloved show. You're
Mm.
trying to satisfy fans of this like Netflix verse that really loved the tone, the feel, and all of it, while simultaneously trying to appeal to new viewers 10 years later and draw them in. It's a really like difficult tightrope walk. I thought the first
Yeah.
episode got off to a good start with that. I'm gonna Price is Right, you guys, and I'm gonna go 9.1.
There we go, man.
I'm terrible at
Got us
decimals,
with
but
that point 1. Gee whiz.
I gotta be the highest in episode 1. I'm Mr. Positivity over here.
really good, really good.
Well, and we said that we're just going out. You put whatever point you want. So you want to do point 1?
You
Go
guys are
for
much
it.
better decimal points than I am. It's like
Episode
91 out of
two?
10.
Okay,
I'm
so
guessing we're
episode
gonna
2
feel a little lower on.
a little bit lower. Yeah, it didn't quite. We're missing Daredevil, right? We got like a
Missing
cool.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
We didn't get any Daredevil. We got a cool like
It's
matte
also-
ending scene.
Yeah.
It's also setting a lot of other things up. Like,
It's a lot
the
of
first
setup.
one, it was set up perfectly, but then the second one is like we're setting up for the next episode and maybe the next several episodes. So I mean, it's doing setup. It's setting
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So I
Well,
was
what's your
kind of
score?
like it's kind of somewhere between like 7.5 and 8, kind of leaning towards 8. Maybe I'll do like a 7.8.
Ooh, okay. All right, Tudon, what you got?
I'm gonna go 7.5. That's like, what's that? 7.5. Okay, I'm terrible at decimal points. 7.5. Only because we had the lack of Daredevil. I like where it's leading, but it's doing some setup for us, and I loved a lot of the stuff that's being set up here.
Yeah.
7.5. 7.5.
I think that's fair. I think this episode kind of left me feeling wanting and like wishing that this was like a bingeable series that I could just get to the next
Oh,
episode.
right. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And this is one of those episodes where like I might look back on how I feel about this, and it might just be dramatically different with where the stories go and how they
Sure.
curve and how
Sure.
they change. But I enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna go just with a nice like even 7.5. Wait, no, is that what you did, Dylan? I can't do that.
That is.
I'll go
I think so.
7.6.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I can't be the same as Dylan. No.
It's true. No one can be the same as
I'm gonna
Dylan.
die, and then Charlie's not gonna talk to Brody for like a week, and then Brody's not gonna talk to Charlie for like a month, and then they'll be fine.
And then he'd be
I'll move
mad
to
at
San
me.
Francisco, and
And then we'll all.
I'll be fine.
I mean, you won't mind. You'll just be bleeding on a concrete somewhere still. Like 1 year later, we'll just step over your body, and be like, "Hey, someone really should have picked that guy up by now."
How much blood is in this body?
He's still
It's
slowly
like Johnny
dying,
Depp in A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, it's never ending.
just
still here.
slowly bleeding out on the concrete.
oh man.
No. First,
You know why
responders.
Foggy died? Because Rosario Dawson was not there to patch him up.
Mhm. Yep. Mhm.
I'm okay if
There
she
was a
doesn't
real-
come back.
There was an
That is-
opportunity there, and all the smoke and fog to have her kind of slow motion running out of
oh
there
my
with like
gosh.
a med box and be like, "All right, let's do this. I'm ready for 4 more
More-
I
seconds."
can fix you.
More Rosario Dawson is always fantastic. That would have shot it up to like a 10.
Oh, I was so tired of her by the end of that Netflix run. She was in every
Oh.
show. Every show she's showing up. I was like, all right, I get it.
I wish they could.
More
I wish they
Rosario
could have given her
Dawson.
a little different, a little bit more depth in her arc. Would have been nice instead of just always being like, "Now I'm your conscience," over and over again, right before the whole hospital is shot and everyone dies. Don't do anything that might be, too far.
I would.
Don't
How
be
about this?
violent.
I would happily take more Karen Page over the Rosario Dawson character.
No, especially since she was in the second episode, and that's one of the best episodes of the first season of Daredevil. That has the climactic hallway fight, which is one of the best
That's
fights
true.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's
Like
true.
any
It's true.
any character can be poorly written, but if you ask me to stack up some acting chops, give me Rosario in a
All right.
one-on-one battle with whatever her name is,
Anybody,
redhead girl.
anybody.
I can't remember her name. I'm blanking. Help
Who,
me
the
out here. Karen
actress?
Page's name.
Yep.
Deborah
Deborah
Ann
Ann
Woll.
Wool. Is she
There it
related to
is.
Robert Wool? Is she Robert Wool's daughter? Because she's redhead and her last name is Wool. I'm putting it
think
all
so.
together, folks.
She's
I
his
don't
mother.
think so.
Definitely not his mother.
Sister?
Wool. There's a blast from the past. Watch Arliss.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
I think that we should go ahead and wrap this up.
That's fantastic.
Because we have 2 episodes. We went a little bit longer than we normally will. When we do this single episodes, these will be probably half this time. Charlie, we have one other week coming up that is going to have 2 episodes, though, right? Everything else is just going to be 1 episode. So, but yeah, so we're planning on reviewing each of these episodes. This is something that we haven't really done before, is follow a show like this. So we're working through this and figuring it out. But we're super excited for this. We're happy that you guys joined us. Can't we make sure you come back, and hang out with us again as this show continues to move on.
Let us know what you think.
Hey, Dylan, you want to do the outro?
I'm terrible at the outro. Go for it, Charlie. You got it down. I love it.
All right.
Charlie's been
Our
talking
outro
for an
is this.
hour.
Robert Wool and Deborah Ann Wool do not spell their last names the same, so I'm guessing no relation. But they are both redheads, so there's going to be some crossover in their genealogy somewhere. Time for a 23andMe, and you know what we're related to? We're related to you guys. We can't wait to see you next time. We look forward to watching this show with you. Let us know your thoughts on the first couple episodes. We cannot wait to interact with you about the show. If nothing else, it can be fun to talk about. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys later.
Don't bleed out in the concrete.
Please.